Our founding fathers here in this country brought about the only true revolution that has ever taken place in man's history. Every other revolution simply exchanged one set of rulers for another set of rulers. But only here did that little band of men so advanced beyond their time that the world has never seen their like since evolve the idea that you and I have within ourselves the God-given right and the ability to determine our own destiny. But freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free. Thank you.
If liberty in America falls, where will you go? Tell me, what nation in the world's history has so protected the individual rights of its citizens? Where else have you seen a government of the people, by the people, and for the people? Where in history have leaders pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor to the cause of independence and liberty? Where have so many millions risked everything for the dream of living free? While some Americans call for the destruction of our liberties and so many more sit back and watch it happen, have any of us considered what would happen if freedom, liberty, and individual rights are allowed to continue their downward slide into oblivion? We get glimpses of what life will be like in America if we, the people, do not take up our responsibility and return the rule of law to our governments and our society. Oregon's Governor Kate Brown is pushing plans to create a vaccine passport system and to require businesses, employers, and houses of worship to demand proof of vaccination to enter without a mask. New York and Washington states have plans to create segregated seating at different events based on a person's vaccine status. While governors of both states planned segregated seating at outdoor stadiums, Washington Governor Inslee's plan would extend that to graduation ceremonies and churches as well. If that stick isn't enough to get people to comply with the government's obsession with an experimental vaccine, states and cities around the country are using bribery as a carrot to encourage compliance. Ohio started with 5 $1 million lotteries. And so far, Minnesota and Los Angeles are offering chances for cash and prizes to those who submit. Schools from elementary to university are requiring that children take this experimental vaccine in order to attend class, even in the face of mounting evidence that they don't need it. Government and private schools alike are using our children as guinea pigs for human testing on the vaccine, while more and more reports of serious adverse side effects, including death, are being reported to the CDC. No one seems to care that the constitutions of the states in the United States forbid such mandates. No one is being charged for depriving people of their constitutionally protected rights, which is, by the way, a federal crime. It seems the American people are not only ignorant of the supreme law of the land, they are unaware that their rights are disappearing before their eyes. If that isn't bad enough, a recent Gallup poll found that 57% of Americans support requiring proof of vaccination to board an airplane, and 55% for attending events like concerts, shows, or live sporting events. So it is not just governments that are coming for your liberty. It appears half the American people are as well. Now, the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States says, quote, "No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law." From the lockdowns to mask mandates, Americans have been deprived their liberty and property without due process of law, described as a legal or governmental process designed to protect the rights of the individual. It seems many Americans are not only willing to suffer the deprivation of their rights, but stand there like a fraternity pledge, yelling, "Yes, sir, may I have another?" We have let unelected bureaucrats act like petty potentates, determining who can go where, when, and how. We have watched while people were arrested for the crime of being outside without a mask, even though that offense cannot legally be called a crime since most were imposed by executive diktat. Even those established by law are void since they violate the supreme law of the land, the Constitution of the United States. Many Americans have abdicated their freedom to live at the whim of the CDC, mayors, and governors. They let the bureaucrats tell them how to live, often in direct contradiction to their own evidence. and wait with bated breath for word from the bureaucrats at the CDC, their state houses and city halls, for the privilege of exercising their right to be at liberty in public. If that irony doesn't make you question the state of liberty in America, I don't know what would. Yet even today, with all the evidence that COVID-19 is only truly dangerous to a small demographic in America, that going unmasked does not spread the virus, and that medications are readily available to treat the disease, you will find people going out of their way to challenge those daring to live free from the tyranny of mask mandates. Does anyone else find it strange that those who are so afraid of you being unmasked may somehow make their masks and vaccines ineffective will get closer than the 6-foot recommendation to tell you so? Are we free in America when our neighbors are willing to call the police for living our lives while endangering no one? There was a time in this country when people were proud to say, I vehemently disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Today, disagreement is frequently met not only with derision, but with attempts to destroy the dissenter. Doxing, cyberbullying, and attempts to get people fired all seem to be a common response to disagreement. Liberty does not mean always winning the argument. It means allowing others their point of view and only restraining them when they actually harm someone. And no, hurting your feelings is not actual harm. We used to learn this as children. We would sing, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We have so allowed generations to be infantilized into believing that reality will morph into their desired form that they expect others to indulge their fantasies. They've been indoctrinated with the idea that they can never be wrong, that thinking something is true makes it so, and that they have the right to demand that others comply with their wishes. Freedom of speech, press, and religion are all being suppressed in America today, not simply by government, but by crying children throwing temper tantrums expecting to get their way. Liberty cannot exist in a land where the right to be different is not protected. I was speaking to a group of college students not that long ago. Now, during the Q&A, one student made what I think is an interesting statement. He asked what was the big deal with infringing on people's rights if it's going to do the right thing. After all, he said, with all the infringements, society hasn't collapsed. Now, one of the advantages that comes with age, I told the student, is experience, which leads to perspective. I pointed out the examples of riots and looting, cancel culture leading to suppression of free speech and even free thought, plus the fact that we were meeting online because government said we couldn't meet in person. These are just a few examples of how society had collapsed. But given a few minutes to think about it, I could have come up with many more. Why do I think this story is important? Because it shows how close we are to liberty dying in America. We are witness to the fundamental change of America, a change from the land of the free to the land of the safe.
In order to ensure the security and continuing stability, the Republic will be reorganized into the first galactic empire for a safe and secure society.
So this is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause.
That is how liberty dies. Not with a bang, but with applause. Liberty dies when we change from the land of the free to the land of the safe, from the land of liberty and individual rights to one of subjugation and collective duty. Gone are the days of John F. Kennedy, who said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." Today, everyone seems to be looking for what their government will do for them. And as that young college student showed me, liberty is now a strange and foreign concept to the rising generation. Live and let live has become anathema to those who will inherit the nation we leave to them. After 2 centuries of people coming to America for their chance of freedom, what happens next? The most famous words of the poem on the Statue of Liberty are, "Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free." What happens when there is no more freedom for those poor huddled masses to breathe? Where do we go for liberty and freedom when it falls in America? The answer, I'm afraid, is nowhere. Liberty will be gone. A distant memory, a fable told to children by the few left who remember it. Yes, it appears freedom has been abandoned by many in America, but that does not have to be the end of the story. As Ronald Reagan said, freedom must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. We can fight for liberty. We can, as John Jay told us, read and study the Constitution, recognize when our rights are being violated, and be better prepared to defend and assert them. We too can hear the call of Captain John Parker at the Battle of Lexington. Stand your ground. Don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have war, let it begin here. Freedom will not survive in America unless those of us who still cherish it are willing to fight for it. We cannot do it alone. As Benjamin Franklin said after signing the Declaration of Independence, we must all hang together, or assuredly we shall all hang separately. It will not be quick and it will not be easy. But if freedom is to remain not just in this country, but in the world, then we must fight for it. As his father was losing his fight against blindness, Dylan Thomas wrote a famous poem. As we fight against the loss of our freedom, let us rage against the dying of the light of liberty. Do not go gentle into that good night. Old age should burn and rave at close of day. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. The wise men at their end know dark is right. Because their words had forked no lightning then, do not go gentle into that good night. Good men, the last wave by, crying how bright their frail deeds might have danced in a green bay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Wild men who caught and sang the sun in flight and learned too late they grieved it on its way. Do not go gentle into that good night. Grave men nearing death who see with blinding sight, blind eyes could blaze like meteors and be gay. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. And you, my Father, there on the sad height, curse, bless me now with your fierce tears, I pray. Do not go gentle into that good night. Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Do you rage against the dying of the light of liberty in America? Or do you watch and simply walk gently into that good night of darkness? That's the question we all must ask ourselves. And it's the question our children will ask us in the future. Will we fight for liberty, not just for us, but for them? And not just for our families, but for our neighbors as well? Will we walk gently into the night of socialism, Marxism, tyranny, and the loss of freedom? Or will we rage against the dying of the light of liberty? If you want to learn more, if you want to understand the Constitution better, if you just want a chance to read it more often, please head to constitutionstudy.com. You'll find more information there, articles like this, videos to help you better understand the Constitution. And you can always ask a question right on the menu. Just click Ask a Question and get those questions answered so that you don't go gently into that good night. I'm doing a Knowing Your Rights tour. Again, helping people understand that our rights are in danger and what they can do to protect them, to help them not walk gently into the night of tyranny. You can join me by going to constitutionstudy.com/tour, and if you'll find out where I'm going, and if I'm not coming near you, well, maybe fill out the form at the bottom and see if I can come to your event. I'd be more than happy to try. If you want to join with others who want to read and study the Constitution, want to be students of the Constitution, the students of liberty, go to constitutionscholars.com. Register for free. It's absolutely free to register. You can meet others in the nation and in your state. You can get access to a free library, videos. You can, most importantly, you can interact with others that are interested. Now, there is a paid program to become a Constitution scholar, and starting as an apprentice, learning how to study the Constitution. But you don't have to. It's there for you. And oh, by the way, if you register between Memorial Day and Independence Day 2021, you get a chance at a free book. You'll get a $5 coupon and a chance at a free book. Please go there, check it out, register for the groups, engage. A lot of people seem to just register and that's it. I want you to be engaged. I want you to post information, ask questions, challenge assumptions. Let us rage against the dying of the light of liberty. And lastly, if you are raging against the dying of the light, well, let us know. Comment on one of the websites, post in the Constitution Scholars. Let us know so that others may join with you. Let's not stand alone raging against the wind. Let us join together. Let us hang together so that we do not hang separately. And if you're ready not to go into that good night, then join me here next time on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand.